Book of Cynthia, aka CJ. Unconditional love, living in the moment, love and forgiveness heals everything. CJ. This past New Year's Eve would have been my 30-year wedding anniversary to a wonderful man. However, everything changed with the self-realization that I was gay. My inner guidance began telling me that it was time to live this part of my life and experience the fulfillment of love in its many facets. Instead of celebrating 30 years together, my husband and I were in the midst of a divorce. Although nothing in the universe is by accident and is of our own making, I spent New Year's Eve at the same venue where I had my wedding reception. Only this time I was in a brand new relationship with a woman who walked out of my dreams and into my life. As midnight chimed to bring in the new year, I gathered with close friends under the palm trees and declared it would be the best year ever. It was. It was the year I fell in love again. Yet I also learned that when we declare something as being the best ever, we are declaring the possibility that the opposite also exists. Very quickly I was lost in love. The adage, too much, too fast, came into play. It became the best experience of my life, and then, just as quickly, the worst experience of my life. Something I had not had the privilege of experiencing before. The pain and the suffering was almost unbearable. Commitment to each other was not mutual. For the first time in my life, I experienced what it felt like to have a broken heart. Yet, the wonderful thing about a broken heart is that when our heart breaks, it breaks wide open. It gives us the opportunity to reach out to Source and begin to hear this wonderful voice within. Through the pain of my experience, a profound insight arose. Choices, good or bad, right or wrong, him or her, blue or red, all lead to growth. No matter the choice, life lessons will arise, offering us time and time again insights for personal growth. Right choices and wrong choices are all experiences to learn and grow from. Right is wrong and wrong is right. Good is bad and bad is good. Source. During this time, guidance from within led me to a book study group called The Way of Mastery. When I walked through the door and introduced myself, there was an instant feeling of recognition between the woman who led the group and myself. A feeling that we had known each other for centuries. It quickly became obvious to me that I was there for a reason far greater than anything to do with me. I asked the group permission if I could introduce a friend, Ukulele. Through a miraculous experience, Ukulele had become a direct channel for Source. Although at the time she didn't know what channeling was. She just knew she received messages. A few weeks later, Ukulele joined our group and thus began our weekly channeling sessions. The channeling sessions for me broke barriers to decades of Source's silence. Sharing personal experiences brought about heartfelt questions, followed by poignant insights. Unable to hold back tears in the healing process, I could feel the strength of my soul guiding and assisting in rekindling my faith. One afternoon within the circle, I shared the pain I was feeling from my dissolving relationship. I was crying from the emotional pain, yet I was so happy to be receiving divinely guided assistance that I was smiling. Immediately, a channeled message came forth and acknowledged the physical manifestation of my emotional pain and told those in the circle how I often smiled while I wept at home. Those who knew me well in the circle knew this to be true. They had often seen me smile and weep at the same time. As Source shared this little piece of me, it brought laughter to the circle. This is how I chose to heal, through laughter, tears, smiles, and much faith. In those silent moments at home, Source had told me that healing was not only possible, but part of my destiny. How could I not smile through the pain and suffering when I knew this to be true of me? My moments in the circle with the sisterhood and my continual connection to my inner self assisted me to move into a place of rest and balance, as well as strengthen my courage and faith. Soon I felt my entire being centering with my spirit self, which was much needed at this time, as shortly thereafter my romantic relationship tested me to the core. The relationship had been out of control for months, and we finally admitted defeat and chose to go our separate ways. The relationship ended in strife and anger. This did not sit well with me. After the separation, I traveled 3,000 miles away and stayed with friends. While away, I recalled messages from our channeled sessions. I also continued to read The Way of Mastery, as well as Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Heart. I was introduced to Diksha Oneness blessings and had lightning bolt experiences of feeling the bright soul of my former partner coming right into my heart. I believe that love and forgiveness heals everything, and so I constantly held her in love and light. I practice Hawaiian self-identity, ho'oponopono, with the constant mantra, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, over and over again. I recalled the message Ukulele had channeled to me. Do not leave in anger, leave in love. For an entire month, my former partner and I had no contact. The day came when I finally felt emotionally at peace and strong enough. And the phone rang. She had called to make amends, and our relationship was rekindled. I learned quickly, though, it was not the end of pain and suffering. Over and over again, we were drawn back together. Over and over again, my choices led me through pleasure and pain, peace and turmoil, calm and anxiety. Back and forth, up and down, like a roller coaster ride. All choices of experiences revealing themselves twofold, yin and yang. As time went on, the negatives became fewer and fewer while we worked through issue after issue, and the magic and joy became more and more. Healing was palpable. Then within a few short months, my girlfriend told me of another who resided in her heart. It was not easy to hear, acknowledge, or accept. We had been through so much together. A tumultuous ride. Palpable healing. She was ready to walk away again. Now my choice was to faithfully live in the moment and allow what will be to be. I remember the day, Chinese New Year, the celebration of life. That was the day our relationship ended and her new life began. I was broken. If it wasn't for my spiritual sisters in the circle and Ku'ule, I don't know how I would have survived. I asked for us to gather together and celebrate Chinese New Year. Another new year after the best and worst year ever. While sitting in the circle with Ku'ule eating chocolate sundaes and drowning in my own tears, I experienced a profound channeling session. I learned about my unfaithfulness to Source, which was my unfaithfulness to myself. I was as meek as a puppy dog and as useful as a doormat. I learned that true love is self-love. I had said that I put Source first in my life, and yet the question to me was, if I truly love Source, and Source is in me, why am I treating Source so poorly? That stopped me in my tracks. It brought me into the moment of who I am. Loving self is loving Source. Loving Source is loving self. If you recognize that I am the self-soul, that you take yourself out of, then you take yourself out of the equation and you just let it rip. Source. When I sat with Source and took a deeper look at how my relationship had unfolded, I discovered my inner wounds and battles. These battles revealed my forgetfulness of our oneness and my identification with a separate self. With this new awareness, I could release the inner battles, envelop the oneness of all, and fear no more. Upon our final physical separation, I sent her with love and light to be with the one she loved. In my heart, I knew that separation was merely an idea in the mind, not our truth, and our spiritual connection was eternal. I learned the lesson of unconditional love. We didn't truly end our connection, for we are always connected. However, I learned to love, just love, for that is who I am and what I do. The channeled messages taught me that we can never truly possess anyone or anything, yet we possess all. We all come to this understanding of the oneness of me and all of you, Source. I often refer to this time as the dark night of the soul, the time in my life when everything fell away. Everything. My marriage fell away. My new relationship fell away. My mother disowned me after I declared I was gay. On Mother's Day, I opened a letter from the IRS for a random audit. I lost 30 pounds. I was ready to check out on life if it came about. All was gone, and only I was left. Our circle carried me through one of the darkest times in my life. Through Ukulele, Source was there to answer my questions, assist in healing my grief, show me love, and offer the compassion that helped me to love life again. And standing with Source saved my life. I trusted. I listened. I allowed Source to help me every step of the way. I came to learn that Source shows up in many ways, and in these many ways, I would come to know Source within me. I experienced the experience and learned firsthand that when we ask Source within to help release the pain, Source does just that. I learned that love and forgiveness heals everything. I mean everything. This experience brought me to a place of peace and rest in my heart and soul. I now witness the truth that exists within. I witness my Source self. I feel the aliveness of who I truly am. I know that this peace would not be within me if it were not for the experience of a broken heart. Through a broken heart, I found life rekindled, Source rekindled. I found myself. Our journey is eternal. We are ever growing and becoming. As the sisterhood says, I am it. As oneness says, I am that. I realize that I am Source and Source is me. And to take care of Source is to take care of me. And to take care of me is to take care of Source. We are one and the same. Our coming home to self-love is a kiss of life, a life worth living, heaven on earth, Source in form, a fruitful existence. And so it is. Amen. Aloha, Cynthia.